Good evening and welcome to Mello TV. I'm your host, Nicole Hales. Thank you for joining us for this evening's discussion as we continue to look at the findings and break down the numbers of our Mello TV poll conducted by pollster and CEO of Johnson Survey Research Limited, Bill Johnson. We will this evening look at the approval and disapproval ratings the Jamaican people gives the opposition's shadow ministers. Also joining in the discussion are political analyst Paul Bourne and political commentator Linton Gordon. Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening to your listeners.
Good evening.
Based on the numbers, Bill, what are the Jamaican people saying they approve and disapprove of?
Okay, well, as you know, over the past several days, we've asked people their perceptions of the Prime Minister, their perceptions of the opposition leader, and their perceptions of Peter Bunting, one of the leaders of the PNP shadow cabinet. We've also asked people perceptions of 4 key cabinet members in the JLP government, and tonight we're looking at perceptions of 4 key members of the opposition shadow government. Lisa Hanna, Mark Golding, Fitz Jackson, and Wickham McNeil. We basically asked people, do you approve or disapprove of the job that so-and-so is doing as shadow minister of such and such a department? As you can see here, 41% approve of the job that Lisa Hanna is doing, 18% disapprove, 41% say they're not sure. With Mark Golding, it's 32% approve, 17% disapprove, 51% not sure. Fitz Jackson is 27% approved, 18% disapprove, 55% not sure. And finally, Wickham McNeil is 27% approved, 16% disapprove, and 57% not sure. Now, if we look at these numbers among those who voted for the PNP in 2016, Lisa Hanna is 64 approved,
so I just want to say
10 disapproved.
It really takes a village.
Mark Golding is 59 approved, 15 disapproved. Fitz Jackson is 52-10, and Wickham McNeil is 58.
So we can segue that Miss Hanna is arguably a good member of parliament for the Southeast St. Anne constituency. But like Dr. Tufton, Christopher Tufton, who ranked high amongst his fellow government counterparts yesterday, and part of his success is attributed to a good public relations machinery, particularly because the polls were done within the time that COVID is on the forefront of everybody's mind. Can it be argued that her rating can also be attributed to her large social media following and not necessarily her performance within the foreign affairs and foreign trade spokesperson portfolio? Paul, I'm going to start with you.
Well, we need to understand clearly that I presume Bill would have looked at people's perception. So therefore, what it would mean is that Jamaicans will be examining Lisa Hanna in terms of 1, her gender, 2, her beauty, 3, what she holds. So all of that would have been taken into consideration in actually people's perception as to what exactly it is relating to her approval. So my thing, what constitutes this is not simply as her portfolio, but also her role, her social media followers. All of that is a part of these numbers. But based on the numbers, I don't think I'm surprised by these numbers, because I think Lisa Hanna has been doing an extremely good job in terms of her PR, and therefore that would have come out in terms of these numbers as well.
Linton?
Yes, it is difficult as usual for members of the opposition to exceed popularity compared to ruling members or members of the ruling party, for the simple reason that resources are disproportionately allocated. What we have to look at is part of what Paul has said. The general view of members of the PNP is that they are way behind in the usage of the media and social media. They are not on all the platforms. They have not been using these platforms as they should, and especially the leader of the opposition. He is way behind the level at which the Prime Minister is using these platforms. So I believe part of the difficulty these spokespersons face, especially like the Wickham McNeil, who I can say has been doing a good job, has been keeping abreast, has been making suggestions, has been intervening, but perhaps what he's doing is not widely known, and the persons who are polled are not aware of it because he has not made effort to make it known what he's doing and what position he's taking and what policies he's putting forward.
National Security spokesperson Fitz Jackson received a rating of 27%, yet his contribution to the national discourse, particularly on crime and in most recent months, he was instrumental and very vocal and strident against banking fees, yet he ranks third amongst the names generated in the Mello TV poll. Why is this, gentlemen? And let's start with you, Bill. What were some of the questions that were asked when generating the feedback for the poll?
Well, as I mentioned, we specifically asked people in this case to rate the job performance of these four individuals. As you know, we earlier in the poll asked people what they thought the major issues were in the country. The fees the bank charged, I don't think came up as one of the #1 issues. But still, I think it's pretty respectable. I think Wickham, I think Fitz Jackson's 27% as the opposition shadow minister is still a very respectable figure, particularly since 52% of those who voted for the PNP approve of the job that he's doing.
Linton, Fitz Jackson continues to be a formidable force within the PNP. Are you surprised by the rating that was given to him?
No, I am not. I believe he can and ought to do much more in the area of national security. He has been calling out for a crime plan, but there's no harm in his putting forward proposals and plans in detail to say that these are some of the approaches that should be taken and put them forward in a structured way. Jamaicans will understand they are desperate for reduction in crime. And if he puts forward policies that are workable, acceptable, and can bring confidence in him amongst the population, his rating would have gone up far above where it's at.
Paul, in yesterday's discussion, still on the issue of crime, it was noted that the crime portfolio is a very difficult ministry. Dr. Horace Shank, he ranked very low in the favorability and approval ratings for government ministers. Similarly, Fitz Jackson, he's ranked third among the opposition spokesperson. Do you think that, as Linton mentioned a short while ago, if he were able to offer recommendations for the crime plan, that would have probably helped his rating?
Absolutely, but the issue is, as an opposition member, as an opposition spokesperson, I do not think his purview is to put forward a crime plan. And if I were the shadow minister either, I would not have put forward that. However, we need to understand clearly that the crime issue is a central issue not only to Jamaica, but to many other countries, including the United States. Many other countries have actually had ways to deal with this crime, and I do not think Jamaica is putting forward the ideal approach to looking at this crime thing. And I think the current member, in terms of the Minister of National Security, I'm disappointed in terms of what he has been doing. Now, the SOE that he's looking at, and we can actually go back years before that, even in the 1970s, 1980s, and all these police bodies, whatever they want to call them, ACID, you name them, whatever they have been, they have not worked. Guess still we are now putting forward an old machine that has not worked into a new vehicle and expect the new vehicle to actually move at its normal pace. So I'm saying the crime portfolio is one of the most difficult portfolio that there is in any third world, any developing country, particularly Jamaica. And Fitz Jackson numbers to me are not surprising because a difficult ministry, and he cannot put forward an agenda or a plan without him being in power. So that's understandable. But at the same time, what he's forwarding is little or nothing, and therefore his numbers are reflecting exactly that.
Similarly difficult to the crime portfolio is the finance portfolio, because balancing the books and balances people's lives, it's an equilibrium or a scale that you have to ensure that you manage that properly, or it can be difficult or deleterious for you, depending on whomever is within that assigned portfolio. The same can be said for Mark Golding. His rating is 32%, and he's the opposition spokesperson on finance. He has been vocal as it pertains to Jamaica's macroeconomic policies, and most recently his contribution to Parliament. He made valid recommendations to the government on the COVID stimulus relief package, and some of those recommendations have been accepted by the government. Again, are the people who were polled rating the spokesperson based on their visibility and popularity or their contribution to national issues? Are the numbers for Mark Golding correct?
Yes.
Well, I would actually look at it in terms of correct or incorrectness. But what I would look at it in terms of his one first visibility.
Let's start, gentlemen. Let's give each other an opportunity so that we can hear the conversation. Let's start with Linton first, and then we'll go to Paul.
Oh, sorry about that. I was just saying that Golding has been making very valuable contributions. He has been putting forward policies he believes can bring some betterment in the lives of all of us. And for this reason, the rating he has received is fairly acceptable at 32 as an opposition spokesperson. In fact, I would call it an excellent rating. Bear in mind that as many as 51% are saying that they are not sure. And it goes back to what I said earlier for the spokesperson on security. He must come up with some proposal, some plan, or some solution. And this is what Golding has done, and I think this is why he has obtained such a rating.
Well, as I was actually looking at it, I'm thinking that the figure of 32%, as I said before, is an extremely good one. Because I would use, say, for example, a scale factor of, say, 1.5, which would be comparable to about a 68, 69%. So I'm saying that figure is a good figure. Mark has been representing extremely well, and people know that, but we need to understand clearly that when you're in opposition, you're not a favorable candidate. You're not favorable in the eyes of the people. And irrespective of what you do, you can't be seen as the minister. Now, I'm not sure exactly what transpired yesterday, but I would assume that the Minister of Finance in Jamaica would have actually came out second to the minister in Dr. Tufton, because all Jamaicans would agree that the Minister of Finance has really been doing a remarkable job in Jamaica. If you look at the stability in terms of the macroeconomic environment, has been relatively good, and persons are now feeling that sort of sense of accomplishment, that sort of sense in terms of the economy is actually turning, the economy is doing better, and therefore one would expect that to happen. In terms of Mark Golding on the opposition side, he has put forward a number of plans, but Jamaicans are not going to see these plans as being favorable compared to the minister, because he's not in a position as the minister to really sort of make that impact. However, as I said before, his figure of 32% is an extremely good mark, and that is an indication that the people are seeing his contribution in the terms of the area of finance.
Quickly, gentlemen, we want to wrap up. If the PNP wins the next general election, who do you want to see Dr. Phillips put in his cabinet? Quickly, let's start with you, Linton.
Mark Golden, Wickham would have to stay, and Fitz Jackson, perhaps in another area other than security. Lisa, perhaps in another area other than foreign ministry. I won't call others who are not on the screen.
Paul, who are your picks?
Well, absolutely Lisa Hanna, Mark Golding, Wickham McNeil, Andre Houghton, Damian Crawford, and I'm not sure who I would want in terms of national security. I'm sort of thinking about that because of a difficult ministry. But of course, Peter Bunting would definitely have to be there, but I'm not sure where I would want to go in terms of that. But of course, I would want to put in a number of the young person and make it a competitive environment for the JLP.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Bill, what can we expect tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow is going to be really exciting. Tomorrow we're looking at who people think would make the better prime minister, Peter Phillips or Andrew Holness, or Peter Bunting or Andrew Holness. So I think it's really going to be a fascinating program tomorrow evening.
Thank you very much, Bill. We're looking forward to it. And thank you for joining us as we analyze data in our Mello TV poll conducted by pollster Bill Johnson. We also want to thank political commentator Linton Gordon and political analyst Paul Board. I'm Nicole Hales. This has been the Mello TV poll. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.